the explosion rips through the 42nd floor of the Millennium Corporate Tower, sending glass cascading onto Michigan Avenue like deadly confetti. But just 30 minutes earlier, Sarah Hamilton was walking through those same halls, completely unaware that her split-second decision would save dozens of lives. This is the story of how a cleaning lady's keen instincts turned her from invisible to hero in the span of one morning. Sarah's worn sneakers squeak against the polished marble as she enters the gleaming lobby of Chicago's most prestigious business district. The morning sun streams through floor-to-ceiling windows, casting long shadows across Italian marble that costs more than her yearly salary. Her uniform, a simple navy dress with Hamilton Cleaning Services embroidered in faded blue thread, marks her as one of the invisible army that keeps this corporate machine running. At 28, Sarah has cleaned these offices for 3 years, moving through executive suites like a ghost. The wealthy businessmen barely acknowledge her presence, which suits her fine. She needs this job. The pay covers her cramped studio apartment in Pilsen and keeps her younger brother in community college. Nothing else matters. But today feels different. As she approaches the service elevator, something catches her eye. A sleek black briefcase sits abandoned beside the marble reception desk, completely out of place. In 3 years of cleaning these halls, Sarah has learned that nothing gets left behind here. Everything has value. Everything has a purpose. She glances around the bustling lobby. Executives stride past in $1,000 suits, their phones pressed to their ears as they discuss million-dollar deals. Security guards chat near the entrance. The receptionist types furiously at her computer. Nobody seems to notice the briefcase. Sarah moves closer, her cleaning cart squeaking behind her. The briefcase looks expensive, genuine leather with brass corners, the kind that screams money and power. But what makes her blood run cold is the sound. Tick. 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 What the hell, she whispers, kneeling beside it. The ticking is faint but unmistakable, like a clock or. Her mind races back to the security training video they'd shown all staff last month. The narrator's voice echoes in her memory, "Be aware of suspicious packages. Report anything unusual immediately." But what happened next shocked everyone watching that training video. They'd shown actual footage of a device exploding in a corporate setting. Sarah's hands tremble as she leans closer. The ticking grows more pronounced, a steady rhythm that makes her stomach churn. Little did she know that upstairs, the building's most powerful executives were gathering for the quarterly board meeting that would determine the company's future. "Excuse me, ma'am." Sarah jumps, her heart hammering as security guard Martinez approaches. His uniform is crisp, his expression neutral but watchful. In her 3 years here, they've exchanged maybe 20 words total. "Everything okay?" he asks, his eyes moving from Sarah to the briefcase. This is it. She should tell him about the briefcase right now. Let security handle whatever this is. But something holds her back. Maybe it's the way Martinez's hand rests casually on his radio, ready to call this in and create a scene that might cost her the job she desperately needs. Just cleaning around the desk, she manages, forcing a smile. "Someone left this briefcase here." Martinez glances at it dismissively. "Rich folks always leaving their stuff around. Someone will claim it by noon." He continues his patrol, whistling softly. But the real shock was still coming. As Martinez disappears around the corner, Sarah stares at the briefcase with growing dread. The ticking hasn't stopped. If anything, it seems faster now. Her mind flashes to images from the news: corporate buildings evacuated, bomb squads in hazmat suits, yellow police tape stretched across familiar streets. This decision would change everything. Sarah looks up at the gilded elevator that leads to the executive floors. Right now, dozens of people are heading to work, grabbing coffee, checking emails, living their normal Tuesday morning lives. They have no idea that death might be ticking away in an expensive leather package just floors below them. Her phone buzzes, a text from her brother Miguel. "Thanks for the tuition money, sis. You're the best." The words hit her like a punch to the gut. She can't afford to lose this job. Can't afford to be wrong about this briefcase. Can't afford to be the hysterical cleaning lady who cried bomb over someone's forgotten laptop bag. But as she stands there, torn between self-preservation and the growing certainty that something is terribly wrong, a sound from above makes her look up. The elevator dings softly, and through the glass walls of the lobby, she can see executives filing into the conference room on the 42nd floor. The boardroom where the morning's most important meeting is about to begin. The same boardroom directly above where she's standing, staring at a briefcase that won't stop ticking. Sarah reaches for the handles with shaking hands, and just as her fingers brush the leather, footsteps echo across the marble floor. Someone is walking straight toward her with urgent purpose. As Sarah's fingertips brush against the cold metal handle of the briefcase, the sound of heavy footsteps echoes across the marble floor behind her. She freezes, her heart hammering against her ribs as she slowly straightens up, trying to appear casual while the ticking continues its ominous rhythm beneath her palm. "Morning, Sarah," calls out Officer Martinez, the building's head of security, his voice carrying that familiar friendly tone that usually puts her at ease. Today, it sends ice through her veins. "You're here early again." "Good morning, Officer Martinez," she manages, forcing a smile while her mind races. The briefcase sits there, innocent looking to anyone else, but that persistent tick-tick-tick seems to grow louder with each passing second. "Just wanted to get a head start on the executive floor preparation." Martinez nods approvingly, but his eyes scan the lobby with practiced efficiency. "That's what I like to hear. Keep up the good work." He pauses near the security desk, checking his monitors. "Everything look normal to you this morning?" Sarah's throat tightens. This is her moment. She could tell him about the briefcase right now, explain what she heard, let someone else handle this nightmare. But what if she's wrong? What if it's just someone's laptop with a loud fan, or medical equipment, or a dozen other innocent explanations? She thinks about her student loans, the crushing weight of $28,000 in debt that follows her everywhere like a shadow. She can't afford to lose this job over paranoia. "Everything looks fine," she hears herself say, the light tasting bitter on her tongue. As Martinez disappears around the corner, Sarah's hands shake as she crouches down again. The memories flood back, sitting in her tiny studio apartment 3 months ago, staring at past due notices spread across her kitchen table like tarot cards predicting financial ruin. The scholarship that fell through senior year. The part-time jobs that barely covered groceries, let alone tuition. The moment she saw this cleaning position posted, offering benefits and steady pay, she'd practically sprinted to the interview. She'd promised herself she would keep her head down, do excellent work, and never give them a reason to question her. But now, as she listens to that methodical ticking, she realizes some promises might be impossible to keep. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, she watches the early morning Chicago skyline come alive with purpose. Somewhere up there, on the 42nd floor, executives are probably already gathering for their 8 a.m. board meeting, the same meeting she's supposed to have conference room C prepared for in 20 minutes. The briefcase seems to pulse with malevolent energy under the soft lighting of the lobby. Sarah closes her eyes, trying to think clearly above the sound of her own fear. What would her grandmother have done? Mama June, who raised her after her parents died, who always said, "Baby girl, when your gut talks to you, you better listen close." Her gut is screaming right now. But just as Sarah reaches for the briefcase handle again, determined to take it somewhere safe where she can investigate further, voices drift down from the mezzanine level. Sharp, urgent voices that make her pause and strain to listen. The board meeting has to proceed as scheduled, a man's voice insists. She recognizes it immediately, Martin Gray, the company's chief financial officer, whose corner office she cleans every Tuesday and Thursday. "We can't afford any delays with the Ashford acquisition on the line." "Martin, you're not listening," comes the crisp response of Linda Jackson, senior vice president. "After last month's security breach, we should be more cautious. The FBI specifically warned us about." "About what? Corporate espionage fairy tales?" Gray's voice carries a sharp edge Sarah has never heard before. "Linda, we're talking about a $100 million deal. A few leaked emails about office supply budgets hardly constitute a national security threat." Sarah's blood runs cold as the implications sink in. A security breach. FBI warnings. And here she stands, holding what could very well be. The ticking grows more insistent, as if responding to her realization. Whatever's in this briefcase, whoever left it here, they timed it perfectly. The board meeting. The acquisition. The chaos that would follow. She looks up toward the voices, then back down at the briefcase, her decision crystallizing with terrifying clarity. But just as she prepares to act, the elevator doors at the far end of the lobby slide open with a soft chime, and someone steps out, someone who definitely shouldn't be here at this hour, someone whose presence changes absolutely everything. Sarah's heart hammers as she catches fragments of the heated conversation between Martin Gray and Linda Jackson just outside the boardroom. Their voices carry an edge she's never heard before, sharp and urgent. The Henderson contract is compromised, Martin hisses, glancing around nervously. If this gets out before the merger announcement. We're talking about millions in stock value, Linda interrupts, her usually composed demeanor cracking. The breach could have come from anywhere. Internal, external, hell, it could be sitting right under our noses. Sarah's blood runs cold. The briefcase beside her seems to pulse with each tick, and suddenly the sound feels deafening. She presses herself against the wall, trying to become invisible while her mind races. Asterisk, what if this isn't just abandoned luggage? What if someone planted this deliberately? Asterisk. The executive's conversation continues, and Sarah catches mention of industrial espionage and targeted attacks on Fortune 500 companies. Her mouth goes dry. She thinks about her tiny studio apartment, the student loan payments that keep her awake at night, the constant fear of losing this job that barely pays her bills. Getting involved in corporate drama could destroy everything she's worked for. But what if staying silent destroys something far worse? Martin's voice drops to a whisper. The FBI contacted 3 other companies this week. Same pattern, suspicious packages, timing coinciding with major announcements. We can't afford to be the 4th. Sarah's hands tremble as she stares at the briefcase. The ticking seems faster now, more insistent. She pictures her coworkers in the boardroom, laughing over coffee, completely unaware of potential danger lurking just outside their door. Mrs. Chen from accounting, who always asks about Sarah's weekend. David from marketing, who shared his lunch with her when she forgot her wallet last month. Asterisk, these people aren't just colleagues. They're good people who don't deserve whatever this might be. Asterisk. Her phone buzzes with a text from her mother, so proud of you, baby girl. Working at such a prestigious company. The message hits like a punch to the gut. Her family sees this job as her big break, her chance to finally make something of herself. If she causes a scene over what might be nothing, she could lose everything. But the ticking won't stop. Sarah closes her eyes and takes a shaky breath. She thinks about her grandmother's words from years ago, sometimes doing right ain't about what's easy, Sarah. It's about what you can live with when you look in the mirror tomorrow morning. Her decision crystallizes with startling clarity. She can't live with herself if something terrible happens and she did nothing to prevent it. Checking to make sure Martin and Linda have moved away, Sarah approaches the briefcase with newfound determination. The leather handle feels cold against her palm as she lifts it carefully. The weight surprises her, heavier than expected, with an odd distribution that makes her stomach lurch. What am I doing? The rational part of her brain screams. Asterisk, this could be nothing. This could ruin your life, asterisk. But her feet are already moving toward the elevator, the briefcase clutched against her chest like a toxic secret. The ticking seems to synchronize with her heartbeat, creating a rhythm of urgency that propels her forward. As the elevator doors close behind her, Sarah catches a glimpse of the boardroom filling with executives for the morning meeting. 23 people settling into their chairs, pulling out tablets and notepads, completely oblivious to the danger she's carrying away from them. The elevator descends with agonizing slowness, and Sarah swears the ticking is getting louder. Her reflection in the polished steel doors shows a young woman transformed, no longer the invisible cleaning lady, but someone taking action when it matters most. Just as the elevator reaches the ground floor, her phone explodes with notifications. Emergency alerts flood her screen, and through the elevator's small window, she sees something that makes her blood freeze: a black sedan screeching to a halt outside the building as men in dark suits pour out, their faces grim with purpose. The doors slide open with a soft ding, and Sarah realizes with crystal clarity that whatever's in this briefcase, she's just walked into something far bigger and more dangerous than she ever imagined. The unexpected visitor bursts through the boardroom doors with such force that everyone inside jumps. Tom Evans, a man Sarah recognizes from the IT department, stands there wild-eyed and breathless, his usually neat appearance disheveled. "We have a problem," Tom announces, his voice cracking with urgency. "Someone's been feeding information to competitors. Corporate espionage. The servers have been compromised." The room erupts into chaos. Martin Gray shoots to his feet, his face flushed red. "What are you talking about? Who authorized you to?" "I'm a whistleblower," Tom cuts him off, pulling out a flash drive. "I have evidence. Emails, financial transfers, meeting recordings. Someone in this room has been selling our proprietary technology." Sarah's heart pounds as she watches the executives turn on each other with accusations and denials. Linda Jackson's voice rises above the others. "This is preposterous. Security needs to escort this man out immediately." But Sarah isn't listening anymore. The briefcase beside her chair has started ticking faster, much faster. What began as a subtle rhythm now sounds like a metronome on overdrive. The sound cuts through her consciousness like a knife, and a terrifying realization hits her. This isn't just some forgotten luggage. This is connected to everything Tom just revealed. While the boardroom descends into finger-pointing and shouting matches, Sarah quietly reaches down and grasps the briefcase handle. Her palms are sweating, but her grip remains steady. She's made her decision. The quarterly reports show discrepancies going back 6 months, Tom continues, his voice growing more frantic. "Someone's been systematically stealing our research data in." Sarah slips out of her chair and moves toward the door, the briefcase at her side. The ticking is so loud now she's amazed no one else seems to notice it. But then again, everyone's attention is fixed on Tom's explosive revelations. "You're talking about corporate treason," Martin Gray snarls at Tom. "Do you have any idea what you're accusing us of?" "I'm not accusing," Tom replies, his voice steadying with conviction. "I'm stating facts. And if we don't act now, this company will be destroyed from the inside out." Sarah reaches the boardroom door and pauses. Through the glass walls, she can see other employees gathering in the hallway, drawn by the raised voices inside. Some are pressing their faces against the windows, trying to understand what's happening. The briefcase feels heavier with each step as she moves down the corridor. The ticking has become so rapid it's almost a continuous buzz. Her heart races to match its rhythm, and she breaks into a fast walk, then a jog. "Ma'am, is everything okay?" A security guard approaches her near the elevator bank. "Fine, just running an errand," Sarah manages, forcing a smile while clutching the briefcase tighter. The guard nods and continues his rounds, oblivious to the danger literally in her hands. Sarah reaches the stairwell and begins descending, taking the steps 2 at a time. Behind her, she can hear the boardroom argument escalating through the building's ventilation system. Tom's voice echoes, "The evidence is irrefutable. Someone planted devices throughout this building." Devices. The word hits Sarah like a physical blow. She stops mid-step, staring down at the briefcase. The ticking is now so fast it sounds like electronic buzzing. Her hands tremble as the full weight of the situation crashes over her. This isn't just corporate espionage equipment. This is something far more sinister. She bursts through the stairwell door into the lobby, where confused employees are gathering in small groups, whispering about the commotion upstairs. Sarah pushes through them, her breathing shallow and rapid. "Sarah," someone calls out, but she doesn't stop to see who it is. She reaches the revolving door and stumbles through it onto the sidewalk. The afternoon sun blinds her momentarily, but she keeps moving, the briefcase's weight seeming to increase with every step. The ticking has reached a fever pitch now, a sound that seems to bore directly into her skull. Across the street, she spots a construction dumpster behind orange safety barriers. Without thinking, she runs toward it, dodging traffic and ignoring the honking horns and shouted curses from drivers. Just as she reaches the dumpster's edge, Sarah looks back at the towering glass building behind her. Through the windows of the 20th floor, she can see the boardroom still filled with gesticulating figures. The ticking stops. In the sudden silence that follows, Sarah's world narrows to a single, crystalline moment where she realizes she may already be too late. The explosion echoes through downtown Chicago like thunder, sending a shockwave that rattles windows 3 blocks away. Sarah stumbles backward from the dumpster, her ears ringing, pieces of twisted metal and debris scattered around the alley. The briefcase she threw away just 30 seconds earlier has erupted in a ball of orange flame and black smoke that billows toward the afternoon sky. Her hands shake as she stares at the destruction. The reality hits her like a freight train. That briefcase would have detonated in the boardroom. All those executives, the security guards, the cleaning staff still inside, they would all be dead right now if she hadn't acted. The sound of sirens pierces the air as emergency vehicles race toward the scene. Sarah's legs feel weak as she leans against the brick wall, trying to process what just happened. She can hear chaos erupting from the building behind her, screams, running footsteps, the blare of fire alarms cutting through everything. Within minutes, the alley fills with first responders. Police officers, firefighters, and bomb squad technicians swarm the area, their radios crackling with urgent communications. Sarah watches in a daze as they examine the blast site, taking photographs and collecting evidence from what remains of the explosive device. "Ma'am, are you injured?" A paramedic approaches her, concern etched across his face. "Were you near the explosion?" Sarah nods numbly. I threw it away. The briefcase. It was ticking, and I knew something was wrong, so I brought it out here and threw it in the dumpster." The paramedic's eyes widen, and he immediately signals to a nearby police detective. Within moments, Sarah finds herself surrounded by law enforcement officials, all wanting to hear her story. As she recounts the events, finding the briefcase, hearing the ticking, overhearing the suspicious conversation, making the split-second decision to remove it from the building, she watches their expressions shift from skepticism to amazement. Detective Rodriguez, a veteran investigator with kind eyes, shakes his head in disbelief. "Miss Hamilton, you saved dozens of lives today. That device contained enough explosive material to level half the floor. If it had detonated in that boardroom." Sarah's knees buckle as the full weight of what could have happened crashes over her. The detective steadies her, his voice gentle but firm. "You're a hero. Do you understand that? Your quick thinking and courage prevented a catastrophe." Meanwhile, inside the evacuated building, Martin Gray and Linda Jackson stand in the lobby with other shaken executives, finally understanding how close they came to disaster. The corporate espionage investigation that Tom Evans initiated has taken a deadly turn, revealing a plot that went far beyond stolen secrets. The bomb was meant to eliminate key witnesses and destroy evidence, but Sarah's intervention has preserved both lives and crucial information for the authorities. As the afternoon wears on, news crews arrive at the scene. Sarah finds herself thrust into the spotlight she never wanted, microphones pressed toward her face as reporters ask about her heroic actions. But something has changed in her demeanor. The timid woman who worried about losing her job has been replaced by someone who stands tall, speaks clearly, and radiates quiet confidence. "I just did what felt right," she tells the cameras, her voice steady despite everything she's been through. "I couldn't ignore the danger, even if it meant risking my position. Some things are more important than keeping your head down." 3 weeks later, Sarah sits in the same boardroom where the explosion would have occurred, but now she's at the table as an equal, not serving coffee from the sidelines. The company has offered her a position in their security division, recognizing that her instincts and observational skills are exactly what they need to prevent future incidents. Martin Gray extends his hand across the polished conference table. "Sarah, I owe you my life. We all do. Your courage that day didn't just save us, it showed us the kind of people we want working here. People who do the right thing, even when it's difficult. Linda Jackson nods in agreement. The board has approved a full scholarship for you to complete your degree, along with your new position. You've earned every bit of it. Sarah accepts their gratitude gracefully, but she knows the real transformation isn't in her circumstances, it's in herself. She's learned that heroism isn't about grand gestures or seeking recognition. It's about trusting your instincts, acting with courage when it matters most, and understanding that doing the right thing is always worth the risk. The investigation eventually reveals that the bomb was planted by a corporate rival trying to eliminate competition and witnesses to their illegal activities. Tom Evans' whistleblowing efforts, combined with Sarah's life-saving actions, bring down an entire network of corporate espionage and violence. As Sarah walks through the same lobby where this all began, she reflects on how a single moment of courage can change everything. She's no longer the invisible maid worried about making waves. She's a woman who knows her worth, trusts her judgment, and isn't afraid to act when lives are on the line. The lesson resonates far beyond that Chicago boardroom. Sometimes the people society overlooks are the ones who see most clearly. Sometimes the quiet voices carry the most important messages. And sometimes, heroism comes not from those in power, but from those brave enough to stand up when it matters most. Your voice matters. Your instincts matter. What moment in your life called for courage, and how did you respond? Share your story in the comments below, and let's celebrate the everyday heroes among us who choose to act when others look away.